Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more relationship stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Now today's first story comes from a throwaway account who says, I, 32 female, cheated on my wife, 32 female, and I feel terrible. How should I proceed? And it does come with an update as well. My wife Rita and I have been married for 4 years, and we dated for 2 years before that. I mostly do freelance stuff from home, and she owns a business with her best friend. Their business has always meant a lot to Rita, to the point where I sometimes think she has tied her self-worth to its success. When COVID hit and all the lockdown stuff happened, it hit the business hard. It took over Rita's life. She would spend a lot of her days there without coming home. Even when she came home, she was very tired and didn't have any time for us. This went on for months until things started looking up. But the next waves hit and the whole thing started again. Before this whole thing, we had a good marriage. We were open and spent a lot of time with each other. So when she stopped spending time with me, it hit me hard. I understand and didn't bother her. I took care of things at home and looked after her. But even after her business started doing better, she still spent most of her time there. I tried talking to her about it, but she would spend a few days at home and go back there. I even tried taking her on a vacation, but she was distracted and worried about her work. All of this left me feeling isolated. I felt like I was the only one putting effort into our marriage. Almost 2 months ago, I met an especially beautiful and charming woman at the gym. I don't know why, but I told her I was single. She asked me out for a coffee and I was swept up with the whole thing. 2 weeks after meeting each other regularly, she invited me back to her home and we had sex. The magnitude of the thing I did hit me the next day. I felt guilty and terrible. I decided that I needed to get a divorce. I stopped going to the gym and broke up with her. When I started getting things in order to file for divorce, Rita came home and told me that she hired someone to take over for her. She even booked a surprise vacation for us. She started spending a lot more time at home. I kept postponing my divorce after this sudden change, even though I still felt guilty. She started taking an active role in our life after almost 2 years, and our marriage has healed significantly. I know what I did was terrible. I'm not defending myself. I don't know how to proceed. The guilt is eating me every day. I'm so afraid of losing her when I just got her back. How do I tell her? Now, obviously, I'm no relationship expert or anything like that, but, you said the guilt is eating you up, and I think she should be the one making the decision if she wants to be with you or not. So you need to let her know what's happened, and then it's in her court what she does with it. If she wants to stay with you, then, that's up to her. If not, I think you need to respect that. There was only one time during this story that you said you tried talking to her, and things started looking up, then it went back to how it was basically. Did you let her know the true gravity of the situation about how you're feeling, that, you're to the point of basically going and sleeping with someone else? Did you let her know that, or did you just bottle up all these feelings? But again, I think you have to tell her and let her decide where to go from there. That's her choice now. But before the update, Selfrina says, confess and leave. She deserves better. Doggy Mum says, I'm sorry, I don't think you were truly sorry. I mean, why did you have to tell us that the affair partner was especially beautiful and charming? I mean, come on. When you tell your wife, are you going to tell her that also? You're just guilty because your wife was able to get free time and plan this vacation for you all. Blade says, tell her the truth. She deserves to make an informed decision about her future. Things were tough and you reacted by cheating. What happens if you hit the next rough spot? Will you take solace in another woman again? Victor Reed says you need to tell her. Tell her what you told us in the post and make sure she understands that you are willing to work on your relationship. All the best. And one more from Lava Bubbles who says, unpopular opinion here, but if it was a once in a lifetime thing, you are not a serial cheater and you have remorse. If you feel like you completely did wrong, I think you shouldn't tell her. Sorry, that's my opinion, but I think also you should try and make it up to her in every possible way. I'm on the idea that you can make mistakes and learn from them. Sometimes these mistakes make us better and make us not take things for granted. So start dedicating all your energy into being a better wife for her with every cell in your body. For as long as you're together, And if this doesn't sound appealing, then maybe the best is to leave her, because you didn't learn truly, and each of you deserve happiness, but on your own. So now let's move on to that update, which came 11 days later. I confessed to my wife after my previous post. It was a very nerve-wracking process. I couldn't live with the guilt. She told me she knew about it already. The cafe I went to with the other woman was owned by a friend of Rita's. She recognized me and told Rita about it when we kissed. Rita told me that it was a wake-up call. She was worried about losing me and wanted to make an effort before she lost me completely. That was why she hired someone to replace her in a hurry and suddenly started spending more time with me. Rita was angry when I told her I slept with the other woman. I told her how guilty I felt about the whole thing. We both cried when I told her I was about to file for a divorce. I told her the whole story and how I felt. We cried a lot that evening. We started seeing a marriage counselor after that. The sessions and the healing process have been difficult, but the whole thing has made our bond stronger and reinvigorated our love for each other. We've spent so much quality time together and our marriage is in a way better place. Both of us are women, by the way. My original post wasn't very popular and didn't get much traction, but I wanted to make this post because cheating doesn't have to be the end of a relationship. I know I was the cheating partner and I know I have no right to say this. I wouldn't have blamed Rita if she had decided to leave me, but I'm happy that she didn't. Then OP made a comment update which says, edit, yes, I told the other woman I was married and apologized to her. Then came in with some additional comments who said, I knew many Redditors don't read before passing judgment, and that's why I specifically mentioned that we were women in the second post. But seeing so many people still think I'm a man made me realize asking Reddit for advice was a stupid idea. I didn't tell the other woman that I was married and I apologized. It was a tense interaction. I did tell the other woman that I was married and I apologized. It was a tense interaction and we didn't see each other again. Some people were asking about our financial situation. I said I was freelance because I don't have an employer, but I work as a cybersecurity consultant and I make a lot of money, sometimes more than Rita does. I was the one who supported us through the pandemic when her business was in the negative. And I've got to say, coming out of this one, my thoughts are going towards that gym woman. I just feel like so sorry for her about how the way she was treated in this as well. And I know, like, OP said that they apologized to them, it was a very tense interaction, etc. But the whole way through the story, like the first one and the update, it didn't seem like there was any consideration towards her feelings. It was just like, you know, slept with that person, but now I miss my wife and I want to move on kind of thing. And it just made me feel like she was almost disposable in a way, you know, and made me sit here thinking, wonder what she's thinking right now about how the way she was treated. But I don't know. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below on this story, and let's move on to another one. And our next story comes from over on the legal advice subreddit. It's a neighbor-based story. I always categorize them as a relationship type of thing as well, and because I love them. And it's from Nick Rochelle, who says, kid put stuff in my yard, ran over it with my lawnmower. Mum wants me to pay. So, my yard goes pretty close to the neighbour's concrete pad where they have a basketball court set up. Neighbourhood kids always go there and play and usually leave their bikes and things on my grass. It's not that big of a deal, except I have to ask them to move their stuff several times when I'm mowing. This is the first time I've mowed this year and the grass is a few inches higher than it should be. Anyway, a kid comes over and I'm mowing, but he still puts the basketball he brought with him down in my grass. I get to the basketball and just decide I can nudge it with the front of the lawnmower out of the way. I made eye contact with the kid several times, wanting for him to move it before I got there, and he never did, so I figured, whatever, it'll roll. Well, I bump it with my mower over to a section of mowed grass, and I continue forward where there was a loud clanking and crackling like I just run over a rock. The rock turned out to be his iPhone. He was upset, obviously, that his phone was broken, and I did feel bad, but thought that he should have said something or moved it before I got there. He goes home, and about 30 minutes later, his mum shows up and tells me I broke it and I'm responsible for replacing it. That I should have told him to move his stuff because I am the adult. I tell her I'm sorry about the phone and politely decline her request. She says, I promise you will be paying for it, and then storms off. I'm not really sure what her next course of action is or what she plans to do. She mentioned something about that she has friends that's a lawyer, so I guess she could take me to a civil court. Am I legally responsible for replacing the phone? Would it be cheaper than court costs if she did choose to take me to court? Now, I was going to start off with absolutely not the arsehole, but we're on the wrong subreddit, and whilst I'm not going to give legal advice because these things could go any way, whenever we read them, people get sued for all sorts, so it always confuses me. But no, I don't think you're in the wrong. I think you gave plenty of opportunity to move his stuff. He saw you with a mower, and in the end it was on your land. He misplaced his phone, and that's it. Whilst I do have empathy for the kid, his phone just got smashed up, probably panicking all sorts. What's his parents gonna say to him? What's gonna happen here? Have I lost my phone forever? Phones can be a big part of people's lives and stuff like that, but it is his responsibility. Like you said, you give him plenty of opportunity, and simply you didn't do it on purpose. But a deleted user says, in quotes, "Am I legally responsible for replacing the phone?" Then goes on to say, "It would be very unlikely for a court to make you pay. You couldn't see the phone and had no reason to assume that someone else's phone was hidden in your yard. The son was the one who acted negligently in leaving their phone hidden in tall grass. In fact, if you wanted to, you could probably sue and win for the cost of repairing any damage to your lawnmower. That's worth mentioning if your neighbor brings it up again. You should check your lawnmower's blades for damage, even if you don't plan to sue. It could be dangerous to continue using that lawnmower. A blade could snap off and hurt someone." And quotes again saying, "Would it be cheaper than court costs if she did choose to take me to court?" And then says, "If she sues you, it'd probably be in small claims court, where each party must represent themselves without a lawyer. It will only cost you your time to defend yourself." Edit. I was wrong about no lawyers. Still, I wouldn't worry about that. She would probably pay more than the cost of the phone if she tried to hire one. OP replied saying, "Thanks for the information. I've never been to court and have always heard court costs can be expensive, but that's probably for more drawn out cases. I checked the lawnmower right after it happened because I thought I hit a rock. It seemed fine, but I'll give it another chance. His phone is a mangled mess though. He seemed more upset at himself. He thought it was in his pocket and has the attitude of, man, that sucks. I actually probably would have given him a replacement newer than his was, 6S, as I have an iPhone 7 I no longer use. But the mum kind of upset me, I guess, and made me defensive about letting her win. Depending on her attitude going forward, I might give it to him still. I haven't mentioned it to her yet, but if she apologizes, I would give it to him. If not, I guess I'll see her in court." And there was many comments along the same lines of that original one, and some saying, if the iPhone is still around somewhere, get rid of it because exposed batteries, etc. can be extremely dangerous, all this kind of thing. Good advice from Reddit as, well, most of the time. And now let's move on to the update to find out what happened next. So the update says, "Thought I'd update you all since so many people offered advice in the original post yesterday. Brief summary of what happened. Neighborhood kid left his phone in my grass while I was mowing and I mowed it by mistake. The mother got upset and demanded I pay for it. Well, she, mother, and son showed up at my door around noon and apologized. She said that she misunderstood what happened and thought that I'd done it on purpose to teach her son a lesson about leaving his stuff in my yard. I guess he explained it to her, it was his fault, which I thought was commendable for someone his age. She told me that she's just stressed about it because she is a single mother and doesn't really have the means to replace it at the moment, and that if it was anything else she probably wouldn't have gotten so upset, but he likes hanging out with other kids and that's how she keeps track of him. I told her about my spare iPhone 7, his was a 6S. I took the advice of some of the commenters that it might be damaging to just give it to him and that I should perhaps have him work for it. I have a detached garage and have needed to clean it and told her if he wanted to help me, I'd give him the phone. He instantly looked excited. I imagine he felt like he's never got a new phone, and she acted very grateful and said he could help. Left and came back an hour later, just the sun this time, and we started cleaning. Took about 4 hours, a lot of work but nothing too hard. He's just 12. I had a couple of cords of firewood I wanted to move out and stacked into a rack, and then a bunch of boxes I cut up and had him bag and carry to the curb. He swept, had a Coke and a couple of slices of pizza, then got his phone. I had a talk with him about paying attention to where his things are because it won't always work out like this. I always told him if he wants to mow my yard every weekend and his mum says he can, I'll pay him $30 a week. It'll probably take him a couple of hours. He again acted excited and thought of making money, and when I asked him what he'd spend it on, he said games. We figured out new games would be about $60 and worked it out that I'd pay him $20 for 3 weeks, then $65 on the 4th week so he could cover tax. It might be hard for him to save. The 4th week, he will do an extra little chore to cover the $5, like sweep off the porch or walkway. I hope I've done the right thing and didn't make him think that everything just works out, but I did my best to have him earn it, and hopefully showed him an equal measure of kindness that he will carry with him. I also didn't want the mother to stress over replacing the phone, as my mum was also a single mother and I know how tough it can be. My own son is just 2, so it was my real first opportunity to pass on some fatherly wisdom, which I hope is what I did. Thanks for your input, everyone. I really appreciate it. Bloody neighborly interaction setting me off crying here. That is just an absolute wonderful story, and I like the mum turned up and apologized for the misunderstandings. The child, was willing to work to get the replacement, and OP is just so wonderful and teaching them like a nice lesson. And I kind of disagree with like worrying about, they maybe just get handed things in the future, blah, 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 because I think what you've done is such a positive thing for this child. And I don't want to overblow it, but could have like huge implications for the future and the way that they think about things in the future as well. Just a nice story all around. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. And our next story comes from a throwaway account who says, "Am I the arsehole for letting my daughter get a nose job? My daughter, 16 female, has had breathing issues most of her life, and I have chronic sinusitis. Neither of us can breathe through our noses when lying down. She did allergy testing, tried nasal sprays, neti pots, air purifier, etc., and nothing helped. After a while, she was losing sleep due to not being able to breathe, so we brought her to an ENT who suggested turbinate reduction and septoplasty. He did warn us that the surgery could make her nose look wider, and she was afraid of that but agreed to it because she couldn't handle not being able to breathe. The healing from the surgery was hell, but afterwards she could breathe significantly better. The surgery did make her nose much wider, and it didn't fit her face as well compared to her pre-surgery nose. She complained and hated her nose, but my husband and I told her to give it some time. After 2 years, she asked us for a rhinoplasty to get her nose back to pre-surgery shape for her birthday, and I agreed. My husband was very against it and told us only sluts get rhinoplasty. What the hell? And he won't let our daughter get plastic surgery. We had lots of fights until I just took her to get her nose fixed. In my mind, it's not really a cosmetic procedure if it's to correct what the previous surgery caused. Surgery went well and she likes her new nose, but my husband tells her she is ugly now because she got plastic surgery, and she has cried and yelled at him for it. I probably should have known he would react like this because he is a very conservative and against all plastic surgery. Send him back to where you got him from. Dude actually said only sluts get rhinoplasty. The hell's this about? And that was in the context of your daughter getting it. Shit, man. And he tells his own daughter, get this, tells his own daughter that she is ugly now because she got plastic surgery. His ass would be out that door so fast. But, oh my word, what's my password says, not the arsehole. Your husband used that term, and now he calls her ugly. Nobody, I mean nobody, speaks to my daughter like that. I don't care if it is her father. That would be the end of that. Your daughter does not need that man in her life. Maine says not the arsehole for this event, but you are in total for marrying this prize. And quotes, my husband was very against it and told us only sluts get rhinoplasty, and then says he thinks your daughter is a slut. He said that to your face. Maggie May says not the arsehole, and your husband is a major fucking arsehole. Only sluts get nose jobs. Seriously, fuck him. Pseudonym says good lord, slut. What the fuck? Did you get your husband out of a 1950s catalogue? Send him back. Not the arsehole, but consider some low-key therapy for your daughter to boost her confidence for the next few years, because that monster you married is going to tear her down until she hightails it out of there, possibly throwing you in when she goes no contact. To which Sloopy Cupcake Mouse replies that saying 100% this. If she lets this stand and doesn't intervene with her husband, she's going to eventually lose her daughter when she goes no contact. When you cut out the toxic person, you need a safe margin, and the people who didn't try to stop him end up getting cut out too, like cancer. OP, you must do something for your daughter's sake. She deserves to have a parent who will protect her from the monster in her own home. If she learns that this is acceptable for a husband/fathers to do, she might end up with someone who takes that a step further and actually physically harms her. You're protecting her from her father, but also from future abuse, and you're protecting your relationship with her. Now, what do you guys make of this story? I think there's only one way about it, but let me know your thoughts in the comments below. That poor girl. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on today's collections of stories. Let me know what you're thinking down in the comments below and what you're up to whilst you're listening. As always, I love to hear it. Just a huge thank you for spending your time with me today. Getting involved in the stories, your love, support and time always means the absolute world to me. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Much love.
Wake up, get up, stretch my legs, eat some breakfast, milk and eggs, brush my teeth up, wash my face, throw my clothes on, start my day. Wake up, I can smell the smoke from the bacon. Let's go, see the sun shining from the windows. Okay, I know that today